Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Oh my gosh, you all are blowing up the chat. It's amazing to see everybody's first jobs. Welcome. Welcome to today's 2020 Partner Celebration. We know it's a little bit gloomy outside, but we are so excited to see over about 100 or so people that are here with us this morning. And it's our promise to you that we're going to bring you some sunshine with today's celebration. So just a few bits of housekeeping before we jump into the program. Everybody who has been accepted in as a participant has been automatically muted, and our panelists will be the only ones speaking and showing their videos on screen. This event is being recorded. Sorry, I'm watching the chat. It's so amazing. This event is being recorded, and this recording will be available after today's celebration ends. Closed captioning is available. If you need that service or would like it, simply click on the closed captioning icon that is in the bottom menu bar that runs across your screen, and then select Show Subtitles. We really encourage you to continue on being active in the chat. We simply ask for your help to make that space a safe and respectful one so that we can have a productive dialogue this morning. In order to enter the chat, simply click on the chat icon that's in that same menu bar at the bottom of your screen. If the chat pops up as like a pop-up box and you would like to simplify your viewing experience, all you need to do is click on the three dots that are in the lower right-hand corner of that window and then select Merge to Meeting window. Also, just make sure that you select all attendees and all panelists when you send us your brilliant thoughts so that we can make sure everybody's seeing them. If you experience any technical difficulties, and I know that it's been pretty windy and rainy out this morning, so if you run into any surprises or your screen freezes, simply click Leave Webinar and then rejoin us using the same link that you used to come in this morning. With that being said, I'm going to kick us off, and I'm really excited about today's program. I really hope that you have a good time, and we'll see you again at the end, and enjoy today's speakers because they're going to be fantastic. We're very grateful to have you all here. Thank you.
Welcome. Thanks for coming. Bem-vindo. Obrigado por vir.
Bienvenido.
Welcome. Thank you for coming.
Bem-vindo.
Welcome. Thank you for coming. Bienvenue. Merci. Je vous remercie pour votre présence.
Bienvenidos.
Gracias por venir.
Welcome. Thank you for coming.
Bienvenido. Gracias por venir.
Welcome. Thank you for coming. Bienvenido. Gracias por venir.
Good morning. My name is Kathleen Pena, and I'm Director of YMCA Training, Inc. You just received a warm welcome from the International Learning Center's evening English class. One of the students is Margarita Quintero, a Training Inc. graduate and now employed at Peabody Properties, who is continuing her education. Our classes look different today than they did 6 months ago because we continue to provide the latest in skills training, English instruction, and job search coaching thanks to committed partners like you. We have 150 supporters attending today, representing partners such as Eastern Insurance, Boston Medical Center, Tufts Medical Center, Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare, and the Association of Legal Administrators. It is now my pleasure to introduce Jen Dorn, Chair of the YMCA Education and Training Branch.
Thank you, Kathleen, and thank you to all of you for joining us here today. My name is Jennifer Doran, and I'm a partner at Hinckley Allen, and I'm proud to serve as the chair of the Board of Advisors for the Education and Training branch of the Y. This is certainly not how we envisioned getting everyone together here today, but I'm heartened by the number of you who are joining us virtually. And on behalf of the YMCA's Education and Training Board branch, I'd like to welcome you to our partner celebration. I'd also like to thank our presenting sponsors, Eastern Insurance and Arbella Insurance Foundation, our event chair, John Cagle, CEO of Eastern Insurance, and all of the sponsors of this morning's event. Training Inc. and the International Learning Center are about creating hope. Hope for a better life out of poverty for our participants, and into jobs that provide a living wage for themselves and their families in a welcoming community and workplace. The pandemic has changed life for everyone now, but especially for our participants who have felt the impact of the virus the most. They live in communities that are hotspots for COVID-19. They or someone in their households may have lost a job, and they may not have access to technology to stay connected. Yet I continue to be inspired by their commitment, and even during these times, to aspire for a better life for themselves and their families. And while the support we've provided over the past several months may look a little bit different, it has never been more important. We also know that all of this is happening at a time of heightened awareness about racism and social justice in our community. Our goal is that Training Inc. and the International Learning Center will always exist to contribute to diverse and equitable workplaces. Over the past several months, we have come to realize we all must do better, and that's what Training Inc. and the International Learning Center are here to support. As such, we feel it's very important today to talk about racism, equity, and the recognition that we all have a role in increasing our own understanding. I look forward to hearing more from James Morton and Bob Rivers about the topic later in our program. Thank you again for joining us today. And now it's my great pleasure to introduce James Morton, the President and CEO of the YMCA of Greater Boston.
Jen, thank you very much. I appreciate everything that you and the advisory board are doing to provide leadership and support of our education and training branch, and for helping to make this event, though unorthodox, a successful one. So thank you very much. I'm excited as always to be with you and to share in this event, and to have the opportunity to personally thank our sponsors and all of the participants who are joining us this morning. Looking at my screen, I see that there are 145 participants on this call. That's wonderful and amazing. Our education and training breakfast is always uplifting and always thought-provoking. It also provides us with an opportunity to acknowledge our collective commitment to making certain that everyone, regardless of their station in life, has access to meaningful and gainful employment. And as Jen shared, this is a special format for today. We have a very special guest in Bob Rivers, the president of Eastern Bank, who will share his personal as well as the bank's commitment to social justice and equity. We are grateful to Bob and John Cagle from Eastern Insurance for their immeasurable support of today's event and this important conversation. So as we all know, there's a lot of talk and focus on matters of race and social justice in America today. And from my perspective as a man of color, that conversation is long overdue. The bottom line is that race is a social construct. It's an idea, it's a myth. It was created early in the history of our country to justify the enslavement of one group of people over another. It was asserted that Black Africans and indigenous people were inferior to white people, that they were less intelligent, less capable, less worthy. And today that myth, that idea, that falsehood is at the root of the inequities that we face in America. That myth and that idea is the reason why Black communities have struggled for more than 400 years. So the question before us, all of us, is what do we do about it? What do we do to balance the scale so that everyone in America, regardless of any dimension of diversity, is able to participate and reach his or her fullest potential? Well, Bob Rivers will share what Eastern Bank is doing and how they're unapologetic in their actions and aspirations. And as for you and me, what are we doing? Well, today we are taking concrete action to create equity and equality. You are supporting a program that is making a real difference in the lives of real people. And many of those folks that this program supports are the victims of that myth, that falsehood, and other myths and falsehoods that keep us apart from each other. You, each of you, are supporting a program that is making a real difference by providing our students with the skills and talents they need to be successful in life. You, each of you, is assisting us in overcoming that myth and those falsehoods upon which racism and discrimination are based. And as a result of your support, our students are able to thrive. They're able to support themselves and their families. They're able to access affordable health care and nutritious food. They're able to live better and longer lives. They're able to accumulate wealth and send their kids to college. They, with your help, are able to break the myth. That's what we're doing. And today, you're participating with us. You're a co-conspirator. You're a social activist. And I love each and every one of you for it. So what are the numbers? And we like to share the numbers that identify the contributions that we're able to make in the greater Boston community. So the 5,000 graduates of the Training Inc. program, they earn approximately $110 million in wages each year. They pay $27 million in taxes, and they save the Commonwealth about $2.5 million in public assistance. The graduates of our program are able to triple their earning power. And 30,000 students in our International Learning Center have gained greater proficiency in English, enabling them to access college and gainful employment. That program is consistently ranked among the best in the Commonwealth for English language learners. And as an association, the YMCA Greater Boston, with our partners since the start of the coronavirus response back in March 16th, we have delivered approximately 3.4 million meals to children, families, and seniors. It is estimated that by December 31st of this year, we will deliver 5.8 million meals. We've also provided 130,000 hours of care and nurturing to the children of essential workers. This past summer, we provided local teens with more than 135,000 hours of employment, not busy work, meaningful experiences. And right now, your YMCA Greater Boston is operating 23 community learning centers where approximately 1,200 students are accessing remote learning and the opportunity to be enriched while their parents are working. It's because of you and the partnership that we share that we're able to do this work, that we're able to do our part. We can't do this work alone, and it's with your partnership that it's all possible. And as we say, we are stronger together. And so I want to thank each of you for participating today. The number is up to 148 participants. I want to thank again Jen and the leadership of the advisory board for all they do on support of this Y. I want to thank our sponsors for making this event possible. And so let me thank you also for allowing me to participate in today's event with you. I'm looking forward to this opportunity to have this meaningful conversation. And let me now pass the baton on to John Brothers, the Executive Director of our Education and Training branch. John?
Thank you, James.
John, I believe you're muted.
My apologies for the technical difficulties, folks. Thank you for your vision and leadership, James, and welcome all today. I'm proud to serve with volunteers such as our board members and our longtime mentors. Working with our team, we moved our programs online over one weekend when COVID closed us down. With our partners, we provide laptops to those who needed them and taught students how to work in a virtual environment. For example, the Training Inc. Practice Interview Blitz moved to Zoom and welcomed volunteers from Arbella, Sun Life, and Citizens Bank. Our famous bell ringings also moved on to Zoom. Thank you, staff, volunteers, trainees, and our employer partners for working together to deliver on our mission. This morning, we recognize a special partner. Since 2008, the trustees of the New England College of Finance Foundation have supported the mission of Training Inc. In 2019, the foundation increased its support by gifting $1.3 million to the YMCA to fund an endowment supporting Training Inc. It is my pleasure to introduce the president of the New England College of Finance Foundation, Larry Richmond, to announce the first recipient of the Richmond Bramley Award.
Hello, my name is Larry Richmond. I am the president of NECF Foundation, Inc. It is our hope and dream that the people who come through Training Inc., not only will they learn the skills that they need, but they will leave that program feeling great about themselves. And endowing this award is our contribution to helping people to have that wonderful feeling. I am very pleased to announce Khadija Frijat as the inaugural recipient of the Richmond Bramley Award.
Thank you, Larry. This award honors Stephen Richmond and Christopher Bramley, former NECF officers and benefactors and longtime supporters and advocates of Training Inc.'s mission. The cash award will support Khadija to purchase business clothing suitable for a job interview. Congratulations, Khadija. You earned the Richmond Bramley Award just like you earned your new job with the Revere Public Schools. Students like Khadija inspire our work at Training Inc. We serve and strengthen our community by providing adult education and job training that are critical to supporting unemployed and underemployed adults to gain jobs and pathways to self-sufficiency. I am so appreciative of one of our students, Braulio Teles Vilches, for his commitment for building community. For the past 3 years, Braulio has studied English on the ILC's Advanced Career Advancement class. His dream is to teach Spanish in our public schools. After much work, just last month, Braulio passed the last section of the Massachusetts Teacher License Exam. I am moved when I picture the students Braulio will help in this role. English classes gave Braulio the space to succeed. I'm happy to share this next video where Braulio takes his lunch break at work to describe how remote English classes are essential to other new Americans as well. Braulio will speak to the importance of parents having the English skills necessary to communicate with teachers, advocate for families, and their communities.
Continue with the English lessons because if we have parents knowledgeable about English or more proficient about the English, we will get a better communication between parents and schools. Probably this is something that we can do better. So try to give all these people online classes, how we are doing in our class. Try to go on the distance learning with all the rest of the students who are at our school, and try to give them some tools, try to give them some alternative, and try to instruct them in certain English lessons in order to try to get a better communication between them and the schools and the teachers, of course.
Thank you, Braulio. And now to hear from some other graduates and volunteers of Training Inc. and the International Learning Center. There's nothing more exciting than to watch a trainee ring the bell signifying that they found their new job. And just as importantly, to see the look on the faces and to hear from our current trainees and share with them how they came to find that job and how they were able to learn from their time at Training Inc. to succeed in their interview process and get to their next step. At Training Inc., we support unemployed adults. Our goal is to support them to find and thrive in their next careers.
My name is Yaching, and I'm a graduate of the Training Inc. program. I'm working in the trustees of reservations as a content clerk. I feel like I'm more confident to do the interview because I know my experience, I know my skills, and I know how to show my strengths to interviewers.
Training Inc., the management and staff is fabulous. The volunteers, the mentors, We all, work hard to help the trainees succeed, but without our business partners, we would have no employment opportunities for them.
Training Inc. employer partners have hired more than 5,000 graduates of our program over the last 36 years. Graduates of Training Inc. typically triple their income when they start their new career. Last year, our typical wage for a new graduate was $18 an hour.
I think that that's probably the big role that Training Inc. fills in society for a lot of people who are looking to find a job to be able to take care of their family or to take care of themselves. And I think that people can't do those types of things on their own all the time. They need help. And I think Training Inc. both gives them the skills to learn how to do that, and I think that Training Inc. gives them a place to rest their head so that they feel comfortable knowing that when they're on their mission and they're on their journey that they're not alone.
The International Learning Center has for 45 years served more than 30,000 students to gain the English skills necessary to activate their own skills to support their families and to strengthen our communities.
I attended ILC back in 2005. One of my first goals was to get my GED diploma, as I didn't get a chance to finish it back in Albania or in Greece. And I wanted to make sure that I had that out of the way.
In this program, students develop language skills that help them to advance their careers, get new employment, better employment, increase their wages, and generally participate more fully in the community.
ILC program has been instrumental in my confidence in the English language. Now I'm a Vice President Market Manager for Salem 5 Bank in Salem. For the future, I hope that conversations around inclusion and diversity continue to happen and that programs like ILC continue to provide and make a difference in their community.
Training Inc., ILC, the programs don't do it for you. They give you the confidence and the skills and the ability to succeed on your own, and you achieve those immediate goals, but in doing that, you gain the tools that you need to be successful in advancing yourself going forward on your own for years.
Good morning, and let me add our welcome and appreciation to everyone participating this morning. I'm Michael Hicks, and I'm joined by Anna Dreiser, and we're board members of the WY's Education and Training branch, which includes Training Inc. and the International Learning Center. As board members, we get to see the good and important work being done each and every day to change the lives of the students we serve. It's important to also realize the impact goes beyond the student. We see and hear the impact Training Inc. and ILC has on the students' families and their communities. Despite our success and impact, though, our programs are needed more than ever, so our students are able to fulfill the evolving needs of a diverse, inclusive, and equitable workforce. Just as our students have had to evolve, Training Inc. and the ILC have also evolved in service of our students' needs. For, as John had mentioned previously, when COVID hit Boston and in-person instruction was no longer permitted, the Education and Training branch was forced to immediately evolve to a remote workforce and an online learning environment. Everyone on this celebration can appreciate that this transition has been a challenge. And we're proud to say that the staff of both Training Inc. and ILC met the challenge without skipping a beat.
That's absolutely right, Michael. Training Inc. and ILC mobilized quickly to ensure that learning and progress could continue without interruption. With the help of individuals and community partners like the City of Boston, we were able to provide 55 laptops and hotspots so students could continue their learning online. And when our offices closed on Friday, March 13th, online classes were up and running the following Monday, March 16th, for nearly 300 enrolled students. To me, that's absolutely incredible. And it's all because of the hardworking staff, the resilient students, and generous partners like those of you joining us today, that Training Inc. and ILC are able to continue to deliver these critical programs efficiently and effectively. You can see in these photos, even behind the masks, these gifts mean so much to our students. And that's why this morning, we're asking that you help us keep the momentum going by supporting our goal of raising at least $20,000 for Training Inc. and ILC. At any point during today's event, you can donate by texting the word partners to the number on the screen, or you can visit the link in the chat. Every dollar really does go to keeping these critical programs running. Just $250 helps a trainee gain the necessary computer skills to secure a job in today's workforce. $2,500 enables them to specialize in an industry so they can build long-term careers. The bottom line is that by making a gift today, you'll be making a tangible difference in the life of someone in our community who has made the commitment to improve their work and position in life.
So to kick off this morning's appeal, I'm pleased to announce and celebrate two very generous donations. First, thank you to Bill and Kathy Parent for their incredibly generous donation of $5,000. Next, a special thank you to our branch board chair, Jan Duran, for her donation of $2,000. Thank you all for leading the way. Your generosity and commitment are inspiring to us all. To build on these generous gifts and to help reach our goal of raising $20,000 this morning, the Board of Training, Inc. and ILC will match the next $2,500 in donations raised on a dollar-for-dollar basis. We ask that you help us make a difference, just as our next speaker and his organization has. It's my pleasure to introduce Bob Bizak, Vice President of Sales and Marketing for Arbella Insurance, a presenting sponsor of today's celebration.
Thank you, Michael and Anna. Arbella Insurance Foundation is proud to sponsor this morning's celebration and support the important work YMCA Training, Inc. and the International Learning Center provides. At Arbella, we believe in the mission of the YMCA and all the great work they do in our communities. I personally have been involved in my own local YMCA for more than 20 years as a board member and have seen the positive impact they have made in the lives of countless families on the South Shore. It's now my pleasure to introduce you to Srijana Dakel-Perel, a graduate of Training, Inc. and a current employee of the Department of Conservation and Recreation for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
My name is Srijana Dakel-Perel. I moved to USA from Nepal in 2015. I'm working as an accountant on Department of Conservation and Recreation. I'm still on my way to learn new things and skills every day. Recently, I joined to Cambridge College to receive my second bachelor's degree in managerial accounting. Having a different cultural background, language barrier, and lack of hard skill, I could not get the professional job that I was looking to pursue my American dream. The best thing that has happened to me since I moved to US was joining to YMCA Training. So I want to thank YMCA Training, Inc. I would advise the people to join to the YMCA Training Inc. if they are looking for the career change, because YMCA Training Inc. will teach you about the computer skills, how to communicate professionally, the interpersonal skills, and the job hunting skills. Those skills you will need in your real career path to perform the jobs, and the employers are looking those skills. So I recommend anyone looking for the career change to visit the YMCA Training Inc. Recently, I made a financial contribution to YMCA Training Inc. because I'm thankful to the donor who has contributed the donation to us so I could get the training and have the better career path. So now I'm starting the things like contributing to the financial to YMCA. So the other trainings and the vulnerable population of YMCA could get that opportunity that I was looking 5 years before.
A huge thank you to Srijana for sharing her transformational journey as a graduate of Training, Inc. There really is no greater testament to this program than a success story like Srijana's, especially when a graduate chooses to give back the donation so that, as Srijana said, others could have the same opportunities that she did when she started with Training, Inc. If you feel moved by Srijana's story, just think of how many more Training, Inc. and ILC graduates you could help with your contribution. And speaking of contributions, Michael, how are we doing with today's fundraising goal?
I am pleased to share that we've already raised more than $10,000 towards our goal of $20,000 to support the greatly needed work of Training Inc. and ILC. At this point, I'd like to take another moment to acknowledge and thank a couple more people for their donations. John Cagle of Eastern Insurance for your gift of $1,000, and Dan Johnson, a Training Inc. mentor, for your gift of $1,000. Your generous support is going to help us crush our goal. That stated, we have more work to do this morning. Once again, we put in the chat and on your screen the ways to donate. You can make a donation at any time this morning. These will also be available after the program is ended in case you missed it. We sincerely hope you will join us and support our ever important and empowering work. Now it's my pleasure to welcome our event chair, John Cagle, CEO of Eastern Insurance.
Thank you, Anna and Michael. Eastern Insurance is proud to be the presenting sponsor of today's event and to support the success stories of individuals like Maria and Shoshana. It is my pleasure to now introduce Bob Rivers, Chairman and CEO of Eastern Bank, and James Morton, President and CEO of the YMCA of Greater Boston, as they discuss race and equity in the workplace. At Eastern Insurance and Eastern Bank, we feel this is an important conversation to have now in the wake of ongoing racial violence and racial threats against the Black community, public demonstrations against injustice, and the persistence of police shootings of Black Americans. We hope that James and Bob's conversation will encourage you to have similar conversations in your workplaces, with your family, and with your friends.
It's great to have you with us this morning as we celebrate the training and education program of the YMCA. This is our program where we take mostly adult learners who are hoping to improve their opportunities for gainful employment, and we provide them with the skills that they need to enter the workforce and participate in some of the prosperity that's happening in Boston, and prosperity that you're helping, you and your bank are helping to create. So we thank you and we appreciate you for being with us this morning.
James, thanks so much for this opportunity to be with you, as it were, and have this conversation and have this opportunity. And thanks to you and your team for your great work in this tremendous time of need in so many ways. The YMCA covers so many different aspects for individuals, families, and children. And first of all, I can't thank you enough for all that you do to make our community stronger in these times when so many are challenged at needs at all levels. You know, the things that cause me to be committed to this are things that are very personal. You know, along the way in my life, you know, I've come to understand that certainly as a straight white male that I'm quite advantaged. And as growing up as a kid, sort of lower middle class kid, it never felt that way. I never realized it. But as I came to understand the experiences of others that were close to me that didn't have those particular attributes or advantages relatively, came to understand that certainly I've been very privileged, and certainly very privileged now. And it was really my responsibility, and I think others that are in positions like mine, to use those advantages, use those resources to really reach out to help others in their time of need, or to overcome barriers in our society that are long overdue and being addressed.
Well, that is, you know, that's wonderful. I love the way in which you have thought about your own life and the way in which you yourself experience that life, and how you now want to work to support others. I really appreciate and respect you for that. So can you talk about some of the ways in which that intentionality is manifesting itself in your work at Eastern?
You know, it's manifesting itself in a number of ways. And James, I think you hit it right on the head. It really is about intentionality. And it's also about accountability. I think too often those ingredients are missing from the equation. I think, most human beings, most people in my roles, if not all people in my roles in the business community, are good people. They're well-meaning people. And when they see someone in need, their heart goes out to others and they want to do something to help. But this is a long game in so many ways. When you're addressing issues around structural racism in our society, obviously it goes back to the very roots of our country and before. 400 years of history that have led us to this point and manifested itself in a number of different ways. Writing a check alone, while helpful, isn't going to solve this problem. There's going to be a whole bunch of things that need to be done, and we need to be very intentional about them and intentional about outcomes. I think process is very important. Understanding, certainly in this moment, is very, very important. But unless we define the outcomes that we're trying to achieve and hold ourselves accountable to them, as we've seen too many times in the past, we won't have the progress that we hope to see. So really, as we think about our work here at Eastern, it's really all of those elements. Thankfully, between myself, other members of our team, we've developed a terrific network of friends and colleagues and partners in the community that better help us understand, as people in the financial services industry, what it is that we can do as professionals in our industry, but also as individuals and members of this community to really help address some of those needs. Where should we be? How can we best leverage the resources we have to affect the outcomes that we all want to see? And so whether it's driving and making sure that we have greater diversity here at Eastern, certainly in the workforce at large, but most particularly in the leadership levels, on our board, on executive leadership, where we've made a lot of progress, but still have a whole lot of way to go. And it's also outside the organization, things we've done through the Foundation for Business Equity, a new initiative we're just launching around early childhood development, and other things that we're doing fueled through the Eastern Bank Charitable Foundation, that we're trying to focus on economic inclusion and mobility, really for all peoples, regardless of the community, regardless of the color of their skin, their gender, their sexual identity, and the many other ways in which different people are discriminated against in our society.
Well, I think what is clear to all of us is that you and Eastern Bank and your colleagues there and your board have given a lot of thought to these issues and are trying to align things so that they all make sense and are all moving toward the same result, and that's creating a community that provides equity and access for all. I really thank you for that, and I'm sure everybody appreciates the efforts that you're going to. Let's talk about being an anti-racist organization. There's a lot of talk these days about the importance of being anti-racist, and as you described your work early on in this conversation, I heard nuances of the anti-racist strategy. Is that something that you and/or Eastern Bank and Insurance are taking on as a mantra for your work or as a framework for your work?
Clearly, and with more intention. I will tell you, in this moment, following the murder of George Floyd and so many others before him and since, we've become much more thoughtful. We've become more knowledgeable and educated in terms of what we could do even better than what we were doing before. We never did it in the lens of thinking about being anti-racist per se. But when I think about anti-racism as compared with words that we still use and used predominantly in the past, diversity, inclusion, towards developing a sense of belonging, that was pretty much the language that we used up to this particular moment. And you've heard the old saw, like I think everyone probably on this call or on this presentation have heard. Diversity is really about, of course, first and foremost, having a seat at the table.
Right.
Inclusion is about having a voice when you're at that table. Belonging is really when you feel like that voice is being heard.
Right.
But there's so much more to that, because equity is really feeling like you own that table. You own a piece of that table. And too often, I think, in our organization and others, we've stopped along the way in terms of some of those words. Diversity is insufficient. It's merely an aesthetic. It's window dressing if you don't take the next step towards inclusion and belonging. But equity, at the end of the day, what that means for us in Eastern is first and foremost looking within. It's one thing for us to recruit people with different backgrounds and make sure they're part of the decision-making process to improve the overall performance at the company. But to really do that most effectively, people with different perspectives have to be at the senior-most levels of our company. It can't be the employee base at large. We and others have to do a much better job in terms of developing those employees who join our organization to come to the most senior-most levels, to ultimately become part of our board, or through some other means to really improve that particular performance. Where people feel like they, again, really own a part of Eastern, or a part really in a deep, meaningful way, in the way that I would feel it. That's really sort of the next level, because when you do that, it's really about thinking about, when I think about diversity, inclusion, and belonging in the past, it was very much, again, about that better decision-making, and was fairly active and intentional in a lot of ways, but has a passivity to it that is insufficient. And what I mean by that is, it invites people to participate in a system that's stacked against them. You know, one of the things that certainly I've better recognized in this moment is that we are a racist society. So many things in terms of the data bear that out. And it's not because the predominant number of people are racist. It's not because they wish ill on others. It's because the way in which this country was constructed over hundreds of years has things that necessarily get in the way of really most anyone who isn't a straight white male, quite frankly. And when you really start to look at them closely, the barriers that people face, whether they be people of color, all women, members of the LGBTQ plus community, and really start to work at getting their underlying root, to me, that's really the essence of anti-racist work. Again, we're focused on making sure we have diversity, inclusion, belonging, and equity here at Eastern. But we have to go further. And that's not just within your own shop and your own practices and the way things happen or don't happen, but also outside in your community in terms of breaking those down. I can't pretend to know what all of those things are, primarily because, again, because of who I am. I've never personally experienced most of them. But because of relationships I have on my team and throughout the community, I can have a better understanding of what those things might be and how, working with others, we can all come together over time to really get at them.
How is all of this kind of self-reflection impacted you as a human being, as a business leader in Boston, as someone who cares about creating community? How does this impacted you personally to go through this process you've been going through, obviously?
It's been very humbling. You know, because of the things that I've cared about for a very long time, the work I've done for most of my professional career, you know, prior to the end of May, I would have considered myself one of the most woke people I know. That's not to say that I didn't recognize that I have a lot to learn, but the magnitude of things that I need to better understand and learn is far greater than I anticipated. And so that's what's made it humbling. It's really caused me to take a step back and really be much more intentional, much more self-critical, and really caused me to reach out to more people than I have in the past and better understand and ask for their advice and their feedback and their honest, direct, objective feedback about what I and we could be doing better. For me, again, that's been the biggest impact, is that feeling of, as much as I thought I knew, there is so much more that I didn't.
Awesome. Well, I think that's the end of our time together. And as they say, you want to always leave them wanting more. So we hope that those of you who are here celebrating training and education are feeling like you'd want to hear so much more from Bob as I want to hear so much more. I'm again moved and inspired, Bob, by your leadership and by the way you think about your work and the intentionality that you are putting into effect every single day, and so in service to the community. And there's a reason why you and your company are doing so well right now, and I hope you and wish for you to continue to have the kind of prosperity and growth that you well deserve. And you've provided us all today in this conversation with some lessons about how we can all play a more active role in creating the kind of community that we want to create. And for that, I thank you. I thank your colleagues. I thank your board. And thank you personally for being with us this morning and for sharing your insights.
Well, thank you, James. And again, nice of you to say all of those things. But you in particular really inspire me. Knowing a little bit about your story, your work, your personal drive and passion, and that of your team. Clearly, what we're doing is just trying to be contributory. You're really moving the needle. And we really appreciate the partnership that we have with you and your team to give us those insights to figure out how we can best help your work. And again, thank you so much for it.
Thank you very much. And we'll close with a former board chair of mine said you can never thank people enough. So we can never thank you enough, Bob. We can never thank John Cagle enough. We can't thank our board of advisors of training and education advisory board enough. And we certainly can't thank the staff who do the great work of providing support to our students enough. And obviously, lastly, we can't thank our students enough who work really hard to change the course and direction of their own lives. And so let us all be grateful for this moment together that we shared today. And I wish you a great rest of the day, and thank you very much for your time, Bob.
Yeah, thanks, James.
Wow, well, that was certainly a powerful discussion. Bob and James, thank you for bringing up some really important and perhaps uncomfortable issues. And for those of you here today, thank you for being a part of this conversation. Our hope is that you'll take what you've heard today and spark discussions within your own organizations that will lead to change. I'm so proud that our programs and our students reflect the ethnic and gender diversity that James and Bob were talking about. And now you can help us lead the way in creating inclusive and equitable organizations by supporting these programs and hiring our students. Collectively, we can accelerate progress to lasting change.
Make no mistake about it. Your gifts and actions are helping to do just that. Create diversity and inclusion in the workforce through gainful employment. It's not too late to lend your support to this important work. Again, you'll see on the screen ways you can support our programs. Now, in light of our current environment and the discussion, we now want to ask you two important questions. If not now, when? If not us, who? As you think about your role and how you can help, I'd like to take another moment to thank a few other individuals for their generous support. First, thank you to Elsa Bengal, the founder of Training Inc., for your generous donation of $1,000. Fawn Van, a graduate of Training Inc., for your donation of $300 this morning. And Peggy Malumphy, a Training Inc. mentor, for your donation of $1,000. And I would be remiss without celebrating and bringing attention to Bob Rivers' pledge of $5,000 as well. I am blown away, and I'm constantly amazed and inspired by our staff and students, past and present, for their commitment and dedication. So, where do we stand relative to the goal? This is what everyone wants to hear about. I am pleased and blown away to share this morning, we have raised over $32,601 and counting in individual donations to support our work. This is in addition to the incredibly generous corporate and community sponsors who have also donated $130,000 thus far. Therefore, in total, we've raised over $162,000, which represents an all-time record for this event. Thank you for your incredible generosity. You all made this possible. Now, before we turn this back over to John Brothers to wrap up the event, Anna and I would like to take another moment to thank you all for joining us this morning. We hope you come away with a better understanding and appreciation of the impactful work being done at Training Inc. and the ILC. And most importantly, you want to be a part of it. We are making a difference. And based on your support, we will continue to impact the lives of our students and improve our communities. Again, thank you all. Now it's time for John to bring us home.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, John Cagle and the amazing team at Eastern Insurance. You rolled up your sleeves and made this event the most successful we have ever had in the history of education and training. And that's saying something because we have some pretty strong history. Thank you to all the donors who have been so supportive of the Y as well as of our branch. And particularly also to the members of the YMCA team that worked so hard to organize this morning. Going virtual was quite an adventure. We asked many questions, we practiced a lot, and really paid off. To all here today, while financial support is important to our work, what's equally important is knowing that you can contribute in other ways. By participating in a virtual volunteer experience, by hosting a Training Inc. intern, particularly by considering one of our students to meet your staffing needs. To learn more, please reach out to me, and I really look forward to making it happen. We'd like to leave you with a parting farewell from the people who we are all here for, students from the International Learning Center.
Bye-bye. Goodbye.
Bye.
Ciao.
Wow. I've been behind the scenes, and this has just been a fantastic event. So thank you to everybody. Thank you to all of those who've given of time and money and resources and their just brilliant thoughts. Thank you to all of our presenting sponsors. And this concludes our 2020 Partner Celebration. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, and we hope you have a wonderful day.